China didn't just unveil a digital currency. It activated a $1.2 trillion financial weapon, engineered not for spectacle, but for quiet, irreversible transformation. This was no grand announcement, no fanfare, just the steady hum of code executing a plan that's been in motion for over a decade. A plan to upend the global financial order not by confronting it head-on, but by quietly outgrowing it. While much of the world remains tethered to the aging infrastructure of SWIFT and dollar-based clearances, Beijing has been methodically unplugging itself from that system. Not through loud declarations, but through bilateral agreements, software protocols, and programmable financial architecture. The foundation is already in place. According to the People's Bank of China, its digital infrastructure, the e-CNY, has quietly settled transactions in over 200 countries and regions, processing more than 1.88 trillion yuan, around $250 billion in pilot trades by Q1 2025. But this isn't about raw transaction volume. It's about something far more strategic: control. In a world where sovereignty was once marked by borders and flags, a new definition is emerging, one defined by who owns the rails over which money moves. By embedding the e-CNY deep into global trade corridors, regional supply chains, and even other nations' central bank digital currencies, China isn't participating in the financial world as it stands. It's rewriting its source code. This isn't just fintech with Chinese characteristics. As Martin Chorzempa of the Peterson Institute noted, this is the first government-backed alternative to SWIFT and IBAN with the scale and precision to pose a real challenge. In 1944, the dollar rose to dominance at Bretton Woods. In 2025, without firing a shot, China may be undermining that supremacy, not with armies, but with programmable money, swap lines, and infrastructure others are already starting to rely on. If the e-CNY is China's monetary Manhattan Project, what we're seeing may be just the visible layer of something vast and buried. A network whose tendrils are already deep in global finance. Since 2015, China has signed over 41 bilateral currency swap agreements totaling roughly $580 billion. These deals form a web, allowing direct renminbi trade that bypasses the dollar and the compliance-heavy, sanction-prone pipelines of Western finance. By late 2024, 38% of China's trade had already shifted away from SWIFT, flowing instead through its own cross-border interbank payment system, CIPS, now linked to over 400 institutions in more than 110 countries. Imagine oil tankers from Saudi Arabia no longer routing payments through New York. Imagine instant settlement in Yuan with no dollars, no delays, and no US oversight. It's not hypothetical, it's already. SWIFT still pushes through 40 million messages daily, but its grip is loosening, particularly in the global south. As the West obsessed over interest rates and inflation targets, China was building an alternate financial nervous system, one it alone controls. The effects are no longer subtle. In March 2024, Kenya paid for UAE oil in yuan. Argentina, out of dollars, used e-CNY to repay part of its IMF loan. Even SWIFT's own data confirms the trend. The yuan's global payment share has tripled in just 2 years, climbing from 1.9% to 6% by February 2025. This isn't de-dollarization for ideology's sake. It's de-dollarization out of necessity. When the dollar becomes a weapon, when SWIFT access becomes a sanction trigger, nations begin to look for cover. They're not walking away from the dollar. They're building insulation against its risks. And the e-CNY is that insulation. A sovereign, programmable platform with no Western intermediaries, no correspondent chains, no sanction choke points. Just pure bilateral settlement under Beijing's watchful eye. But what does that mean for decentralization? Are we witnessing financial liberation, or the rise of a new digital empire? That question is being tested now on the ground in Indonesia, where small businesses are accepting payments via e-CNY wallets and QR codes, bypassing dollar conversions entirely. It's unfolding in Malaysia, where the central bank has directly linked its fast payment system to China's, a regional first. And it's accelerating across ASEAN, where over 33% of trade with China is already conducted in non-dollar currencies. What's emerging isn't just a new set of tools. It's a new operating system for the global economy, one where China controls the code, the channels, and increasingly, the rules. Alicia Garcia Herrera, chief economist at Natixis, sounded the alarm. China isn't just exporting goods anymore. It's exporting rules, embedding dependency deep into the very rails that move money worldwide. When your economy runs on Chinese rails, your autonomy becomes conditional. Because if China controls the rails, what happens when it decides to control the routes? Every single day, over $83 billion flows through the Shanghai International Payment System. This isn't theory, it's reality. It's not an experiment, it's operational, programmable. and no longer multilateral, but potentially unilateral. Such efficiency delivers speed, yes, but also danger. One question now looms larger than any. Who holds the kill switch? In late 2023, a test run between Hong Kong and the UAE revealed just how advanced this infrastructure has become. Trade invoices cleared in seconds, costs slashed by 98%. These aren't projections, they are outcomes. According to the Bank for International Settlements, unlike SWIFT, which merely sends messages, China's digital Yuan system moves actual money in real time. No third-party clearing, no foreign exchange delays, no waiting. Josh Lipsky of the Atlantic Council put it bluntly. China isn't just building a faster rail line, it's removing the ticket booths. It's owning the stations. After Russia's removal from SWIFT in 2022, CIPS volume exploded, surging over 90%. This was no anomaly, it was a signal. Beijing responded by expanding digital yuan swap lines to Brazil, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, countries chafing under dollar constraints. Even U.S. allies like Indonesia, Egypt, and the UAE are now trialing settlements in yuan. The pattern is unmistakable. The more Washington weaponizes the dollar, the more enticing Beijing's rails become. Eswar Prasad puts it bluntly. America's own tools of financial dominance are accelerating the creation of systems designed to bypass them. Sanctions may no longer suppress. They may spawn competitors. And the next revolution in global finance may not be coded in New York, but already running in Shanghai or Shenzhen. The Belt and Road Initiative has poured over $1.1 trillion into roads, ports, and grids across 148 countries. But today, it's not cement or steel that binds this empire. It's code. It's currency. The e-CNY, China's digital yuan, now settles payments at Kenya's Mombasa port, Pakistan's Gwadar terminal, and along the Laos high-speed rail. Payments flow through wallets issued and monitored by the People's Bank of China. Bloomberg confirms 13 Belt and Road countries are piloting digital yuan settlements. Some are going further, using e-CNY for smart contract-based sovereign debt repayments, programmable, trackable, even reversible. This is no longer finance, it's compliance, automated and enforced. As Garcia Herrera notes, China's advantage is absolute. It doesn't just lend funds, it controls how they're used, where they go, and when they return. Which raises the question, is this infrastructure or digital colonization? At the 2024 BRICS summit in Johannesburg, member nations moved decisively, agreeing to develop a cross-BRICS payment framework powered by their own central bank digital currencies, with China's e-CNY at the core. 4 central banks are already live with cross-BRICS pilots. SWIFT's own data shows UN usage now eclipses the euro across parts of the global south. This isn't the destruction of the dollar, it's fragmentation by design. By 2026, BRICS aims to launch a shared settlement platform. The dollar's role is no longer guaranteed, no longer dominant, it's up for debate. And in this fractured future, the real question is, who manages the intersections? Then came January 2025. Donald Trump's new trade war hit with thunder. A sweeping 60% tariff on all Chinese imports. But Beijing didn't retaliate with counter-tariffs. Instead, it pivoted fast, accelerating e-CNY integration into export financing. According to the China Securities Journal, by Q1 2025, digital yuan use in trade settlements jumped 19.3% year-over-year. State-owned banks began offering exporters e-CNY trade credits at lower interest rates than dollar loans. UN-denominated letters of credit are now up to 40 basis points cheaper than their dollar counterparts. Beijing's strategy was clear. This wasn't about winning a tariff skirmish. It was about building a monetary firewall that Washington may no longer breach. This is no longer a trade dispute, it's a race. A race to build the next global financial operating system. The dollar isn't vanishing, but its monopoly is eroding. Its role as gatekeeper of global commerce is being rewritten, not through debates, deals, or diplomacy, but through architecture and algorithms. While the US argues over tariffs, China is embedding digital rails beneath roads, inside trade agreements, across supply chains, wallets, contracts, ports, power plants, all connected, all programmable. What's being built is more than faster payments. It's about control, visibility, and the power to turn off the tap instantly if a country steps out of line. So when the next global crisis hits and liquidity is needed fast, but Washington's help arrives too little, too late, will the world accept China's terms instead? Make no mistake. China isn't preparing to survive the next financial war. It's preparing to win it before it even starts.